right to it. Start asking the audience has asked us. So first off, I have to ask, can you take us on a journey of what it was like to be the lead cinematographer for the Burial of Kojo?
I think Blitz and I, the director, we have been friends for a really long time, and I think that the he had written this film, The Burial of Kojo. He asked me to kind of check out and read through. He was a musician. The director was a musician that had done some short films and stuff. And this was our first like venture into the feature worlds kind of together. And so we kind of went and we filmed. He's Ghanaian, from Ghana, raised also in the U.S. Went to school in the U.S. So we went back to to Ghana, his home, and filmed this beautiful project. It was really intense. We didn't really have the budget or the means or normal, like you would say, like normal type of camera crews. Essentially, like I ended up holding the camera the entire shoot and pulling focus myself off the barrel. So you'll notice during the film there's some parts. I mean, it's artfully done, I feel, but where you can tell somebody's behind the camera. But the it was a beautiful experience in that like it was different than shooting here in the US. We wanted to capture like the vibrancy of the people and kind of what was going on in Accra in the different little areas that we filmed. But it was nice. It was all local crew that we did. The small crew that we did have was all local, and Blitz being from there and speaking like 10 different languages and being in the mix. There's behind the scenes photos of us just kind of literally in the mine, in the trenches, like some days our shower back at the place where we were staying not working and just going like long days, and you could see that it was a labor of love for sure. Hopefully.
Okay, well, we would have never known that if you wouldn't have right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we read, not we, but when I read like a little bit of background on the movie, I saw that it was like made on a micro budget and a lot of, had some new time actors and actresses in it as well. So I kind of figured it was a pretty interesting story when it comes to, how you guys all made it happen. So that's awesome. Very awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, we do have another question similar about some of the things that you just mentioned. Let's see here. Was the small village they lived on a freshwater lake or an ocean? And what part of Africa was that?
It was called Nezulezu. It's a West African. It's in Ghana, and it's a small lake, and that's a fisherman's lake. That the village was real. Nothing is props. No lighting is fake. The lighting that we use is the lighting that exists. It's all practical lighting. The entire film. We shot, like I said, on site. The people that we shot, everyone, like if you see an extra or somebody that's paddling the boat, that's us waking up to shoot them paddling the boat, almost like documentary style in the morning. And having the permission to shoot there, and we lived there for like 3 or 4 days while we shot that on the lake with them, in these small little rooms. And that was a really beautiful experience. One of my favorite times of shooting the film for sure.
So that beautiful red sunset that was over the water, that was a natural occurrence?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's one of the questions from the Q&A from the audience members, but okay, that's wild. All right. Ask that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, everything in the film was all natural light or like car lights or lights in the room that were already there that existed, and we kind of took that approach of well, we didn't have the budget for lighting. Let's just so we weren't able to use it, and I think the film benefited from it. It was very natural in the way we shot it.
Okay. So another question from the audience here. How do you think the cinematography aided in telling the story, even with some of the hindrances you had mentioned before?
I think that everything was intentional. We if the film is, you know, like a prayer, then these were our small intentions. Every frame is an intention. And, Blitz and I are both like extremely spiritual people, and we shoot in that type of way where we didn't want, in film sometimes what you do is you get coverage, you shoot different scenes, different scenarios, different ways, you get coverage, you shoot b-roll to shoot b-roll. And then I think in this film what we set out with the intention is just to fill every single frame as much as possible with intention. So 99% of the film is like all like, there's no quote unquote filler in the film. Everything has a reason. The camera moves a certain type of way. The cinematography is like, helps tell the story, these long takes, these through the mirrors, these through the sheets. We wanted to kind of do magic realism in a real type of way. And so those were some of the techniques that we explored, the different angles and the different way we would shoot certain scenarios. I think that helped tell the story and act like bring the audience in, and just bring them into that world 100%.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about how you and Blitz are pretty spiritual. What are you trying to convey with the style of your cinematography?
I think like love, I think beauty, I think like beauty and the simplicity of life. I think that's really important to kind of show magic in the everyday life. Um, Not magic in the sense of like, cat in a hat. I think more like, your mom is making something to eat. That's pretty magical. Um, how do we show that and emphasize it? So that always kind of informed the way we would kind of frame up and want to shoot something that's very important still to this day, and I think in both of our works kind of still have like similar style to that.
Yeah. One thing I, personally, I can say that I've noticed was when you mentioned kind of like every day. I guess I was maybe thinking, but I couldn't put words to it. But yeah, like especially like maybe in the first like 7 minutes of the film when you guys take that long shot of going around them in that boat. Like
Yeah.
one of my favorite scenes because it does seem magical. It seems like it's saying a lot, but there's not a lot happening. So yeah, okay, that's very cool. I appreciate you elaborating on
Yeah, and I think the simplicity in the way we shot it. So like for example, that shot particularly, we're in a canoe also going around in a boat. So instead of like employing techno crane and these big contraptions and grip, whatever to like make the scene happen, we're like, what can we use that's the least amount of disruption to the natural environment and shoot it that way. And I think we kind of employed that the whole film. What was the least amount of disruption to what was happening? And then that we were able to capture like real environments, because we weren't intrusive with the way we did it. Our footprint wasn't big.
that seems like a very good philosophy when it comes to independent film. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna move along. Let's see here. Oh, this is a fun one. What was it? No, I'm gonna save that one for last. Where were you in your life journey of learning camera work at this time of the film? Are you exploring this organic creativity in I'm sorry, in later films?
I think that this was kind of like the birth of it. I think Blitz and I is like, when we work together, it's always something special that happens. I think that kind of carried on into Black is King. We both shot that as well together. Um, and yeah, I think that was kind of the beginning of it. I think, yeah, I Burial of Kojo was definitely like the jumping point for both of us in both of our careers. To see it take off the way it did has been like a really, really nice journey, you know, to, like I said, shooting Black is King, and and different other projects that we're working on. Blitz is now shooting the Oprah Color Purple musical film, you know, like he's going to be directing that coming up. Like there's a lot of different uh paths that we've taken since Burial. That's kind of, it's been nice for us.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
right, right. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about Black is King. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I mean that's
Yeah.
a cool situation that you got to be a part of.
You know, it does have a connection to Burial of Kojo because Beyonce has seen Burial of Kojo. She watched it. She had been working on this project, Black is King, for a while. She already had kind of shot a decent amount of it, and it was missing something. But she had seen Burial of Kojo, and she reached out, you know, to the team and was like, "Hey, if you all, you know, the film is beautiful. If you're interested in shooting this kind of journey that I'm on right now, and kind of helping me to finish it up." And of course, we said yes, and we shot. You know, we ended up shooting a lot of the film. And what's my favorite part is Blitz and I shot the poster, the famous boy kind of levitating and stuff. Like we shot that. That's like our scene, you know, and that kind of goes back to, like, you know, Burial and her like appreciating, like in watching Burial of Kojo and seeing something there, and then asking us to do something for her as well.
Yeah. So what was your initial thought with Burial of Kojo? Have gone through all the things you had gone through, like working on such a micro budget, you know, like making it happen somehow, and then getting that phone call or that email or whatever, you know, like
Yeah, going from no budget to a Disney Plus Beyonce budget, like it's it's a little bit different, you know. We just had more to play with, essentially, just more to play with, and you know, for us, it's like creativity comes first, and you know, there's just more people involved, and more extras, and her, you know, the queen herself, like involved in the mix and getting into frame. What do you guys think about this? And just kind of the collaboration process was really nice. I think the difference is you turn around on that set and it's 500 people behind us and working on the sets, whereas with Burial of Kojo, it was more intimate and person. I mean, it was more personal to Blitz and I. It was just me, and it was me and him, you know, and a small crew, kind of grinding through it tirelessly. I think there's behind the scenes of like me, like in between takes, just kind of like dozing off a little bit, and then waking back up, and then shooting, like, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, whatever scene it was, type of love.
that's amazing because I've seen Black is King several times and
Yeah.
I've seen Burial of Kojo several times, and you just said during Black is King, you turn around and you see 500 people, but it still feels very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like it still feels very organic, even with the Queen on camera. Like it seems
Yes.
the only person, you know, like that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm guessing some of the stunning. This is from one of the audience members. I'm guessing some of the stunning aerial scenes were shot using drones. How has drone technology impacted your capacity to tell stories through cinematography?
I think drone is always tough for me because I always wanted to feel photographic. And a lot of times with drones, what happens is we throw the drone in the air and we shoot unphotographically. Like from the air, we don't have that God view. You know what I'm saying? Like the God view from an airplane, everything looks, the earth is so amazing looking, right? So it's like, how can we throw the drone up and then have it be photographic? Like I want it to be composed. I want it to be to feel and look a certain type of way. Um, I just don't. For me, drone can both be good and bad. So the bad side is you can throw it up in the air and just capture everything. The good part is like, well, we don't really have had the opportunity to photograph from the sky. So what happens when you actually start photographing from the sky and composing images from that direction? And we did a little bit on Burial of Kojo. Some of it is coverage, like just some small beats that we needed. I mean, but the drone itself is like, you know, it was like a $200 drone. It wasn't even like one of the fancy ones. It was like it was a small one, and the drone operator, God bless the drone operator, because we put them through so much, like trying to get the exact frame and shot that we wanted. Yeah.
Basically, what you're saying is I need to get a drone and one other person, and then Beyonce might holler at me like in a year or two.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. What does it mean to do cinematography? How much direction do you get to do?
Depends on the job. So like in the commercial world, not as much. I think we have a look like, if I'm shooting a commercial, let's say I'm shooting the new Google Pixel commercial airing on ESPN or whatever the case. Like I've done jobs like that. Not so much. You have a little say like in maybe lens choice, camera movements. But as far as like, location or wardrobe or people, not so much. That's already chosen by client. There's a certain aesthetic and look that they want. You can set it a little bit. That's why they hired you. But also your job is to, sell a brand. Um, so it has to be lit a certain way. It can be moody occasionally. Now, in the film world, there's more of a collaboration. In the documentary world, there's more of a collaboration. It's more like the director of the photography has a say and a voice in how and why things are being shot. And we also have a say in locations, wardrobe, colors, art design. It's more of like a whole world that we're involved in. And the commercial world, not so much, and I'm curious to see, like, if Roger Deakins shoots commercials or feature films or a little bit of both. I think back in the day, like a few commercials, and you're like, wow, that doesn't look like Deakins. But at the same time, there's an agency and a client that we have to, um, you know, make happy, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So as a cinematographer, this is another question from the audience. Do directors seek you out because you have a specific approach, or do you adapt to the director? How does that work for you?
I think both. Like, I think you have to have a voice as a DP. I think you have to have a clear voice. Like, otherwise, you know, maybe, and this is not to say anything about camera operators. There's camera operators that are so incredible. Um, but I think it's important that you have a voice, number one. And I think, you get looked at for having a unique voice and a different voice. What do I have to say in the world and how I'm going to say it through film and photography? Compared to, let's say people are saying, hey, what can I do to be a cinematographer or assigned to an agency or in the whatever world it is? My number one thing that I always tell people is just have a voice, like have something to say, be very clear. It can change, your voice changes, it can adapt, but have a voice and be unique, because there's 1,000 DPs like graduating film school like every year. There's thousands of Instagrams that look so incredible, but if you go across every single one, they all look exactly the same. The lighting is the same, the mood is the same, the LUT is the same, the 16 millimeter look is the same. Like, what can you do to kind of like get ahead of it and have a voice? And directors will find you. A big part of it too is your personality. Like, if you're a whack person, the next generation doesn't want to work with you anymore. Not only that, but you have to be like a good person as well as a good DP. I feel like that's equally as important. The old school era of you can be an asshole and a good DP, it's not really true anymore. It's dying off, and rightfully so. Now you have to be like, kind of in tune and a good person. And I think that's really important. Bradford Young gave a really good talk, and he said, if you want to be a better cinematographer, then upgrade yourself. Upgrade you. Read more, uh, watch more movies, go out and live life a little more, treat people well, treat yourself well. That'll make you a good cinematographer.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't have too much longer with you because I told you 30 minutes, but
No worries. It's all good.
all right. So what did this movie teach you about your current work?
Love and hard work and work ethic. I think like, you know, I did, did it out of love, like 100% love and trust in the director, and out of friendship. And sometimes it's okay to do projects like that. I encourage it. Um, it taught me a lot. It did everything for me. Like that, what started my career as a professional DP now, like thriving in the industry. Um, and that was a jump. That was a jump off, and it was extremely hard, like really hard. I can't like it was really hard, like compared to some of the shoots that I'm on now. But that I shot it with love and dignity and gave it my all. Man, if I can do that, man, I can do anything else. Like it's no problem, you know.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay. Um, audience, you talked about bringing your spirituality to this piece. The crow was crazy scary. What came to you as you explored the symbolic crow?
I think like we all have like, man, it's just the crow kind of represents like a balance. You know, like everyone has like a part of them that's the crow. Like no good person is just all good. Like we all deal with like our inner crow, you know, our inner like uh you know, naffs or our inner demons or whatever you want to say. And I think the crow was like a representation of that. We didn't want to make it too much, but also that it's there and that it really does exist, and you have to deal with it. You got to face it. You can run all the time from it, you know, like the little girl, like, you know, Essie, like you have to face it, essentially. And sometimes it's your own people. It's us, you know, essentially. um so that was like a nice representation. I thought it was really cool, like the when Blitz ended up flipping the horse
Oh, yeah.
upside down. Such a simple, you know, and by the way, Blitz scored that whole thing. Like, Jesus, man, like that dude. I can't even like say enough about him. Like he's a special person for sure. But the he flipped it, and then the score when it hits, I remember he was like, "I'm gonna go shoot the score," and he went with a band, and like within one day had that whole original score done.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah. He's like he's a. I don't really like to use the term genius, but this dude is like he did the whole score like in a day. Like we shot Burial of Kojo with nothing. It was like, I mean, it was really beautiful to watch somebody like that work. Um, yeah, and it hit perfect too. The notes every time the score, which is like I feel like it's like a third of the film, was really well done.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that he did some of the score, but I didn't realize that he did A, the entire score, and then B, did it in a day.
Yeah, he's on another, and some of it's his original music too, from when he's a rapper, so some of it's him on it.
All right. So, what are some things you learned from your visit to Africa?
I think me like the people, like being on the continent. I had been to Senegal before that, and just kind of, you know, as a mixed baby, just kind of reconnecting to the roots, and being there is like really really important, and kind of seeing that history. I had been to Senegal first, and it was really beautiful. I had a really good experience there, shot some stuff. And so when I went to Ghana, it was like, yo, this is incredible. And it was nice because like I'm not saying that colonization in the English language is nice, but it was nice being able to communicate with people there. Um, and man, just kind of eat the food. Like Blitz was like, he was like, bro, you can't be eating all the street food. You're gonna get like sick. And I was like, man, like I'm Mexican. Like I eat all the street food. Like I'm good. Like, you know, like this is like my people right here. Like I know this. And so to be taken in by my Ghanaian family and show love, and they saw how hard I went too, and how like, you know, humbling it was for all of us. Like I think it was like love all around for sure.
I do have a question that is not actually on my list here, but I do remember that this movie was distributed by Array Productions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is Ava DuVernay's production company. Did you do you have a story about meeting and or communicating, or like how what is she like?
Oh, Ava, man, let me just say this. Ava is a queen as well. Damn, there's like, oh my God. Like Ava saw the film and took it from, you know, it was doing well like on the indie circuit. And she took our film and just like elevated it to another level. Like as soon as Ava picked up the film, we got like tweets and calls from like Barry Jenkins, Guillermo del Toro, um, like everyone was just like, yo, this film is amazing. Peter Ramsey, who did Spider-Verse, like everyone was just showing love for the film. As soon as she touched it, before that, nobody was like, it was like, it's okay. As soon as she touched it, then it became like the greatest filmmakers were showing love for it. You know, like her and Barry and Guillermo and Peter and like all these people were like, it was and to meet her in person and for her to, you know, visibilize me as a cinematographer, that was huge for me. That jump started my career. I will give her and Blitz 100% credit for that, because if it wasn't for them, they could have easily invisibilized the cinematographer or me, which happens a lot. Like producer credits, if you notice on this film, the producer credit doesn't come up first after the director. It's the cinematographer.
Oh, okay, okay.
So notice that on films, they never put the DP second. They're always the director, and then the long list of producers, and then maybe the cinematographer. And what Blitz chose to do was put me second after his name, and that was very like huge, that they visibilized me in it. And you know what I'm saying, like I can't even like say enough about her. And she brought me in for a meeting one day and was like, "Hey, who are you? Where did you come from? What are you interested in?" And gave me the push to like pursue cinematography full time. You know, and still checks in occasionally with me. You know, like, "Hey, how's it going? I saw this film. Congratulations, good job." You know, on IG, like IG buddies, and just kind of like, you know, and so that's been a really nice relationship to have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm absolutely intrigued by your journey. This is amazing.
Yeah, me too. Still.
Who are some filmmakers who influence, inspire your work? What are your top five of all time?
Ooh, top five movies. Oh shit. Let me see here. Notes. I think. Oh man, I was talking with a friend earlier. Oh my goodness, that's. What did I watch? Interstellar. These are my top five. So like, City of God probably was the most influential for me in Brazil, because it, you know, for me that was like, oh, you can do this type of films.
Mhm.
You know, I was like, whoa, I was blown away by the streetness of it. Um, Obviously, like everything by like, oh my goodness, what did I watch the other day? Oh my goodness, I'm blank. Anytime I get asked this, oh, I love everything. Children of Men is like one of the best movies of all time. Pan's Labyrinth, Brighter Summer Day, anything by Edward Yang is like incredible. Edward Yang to me is like the god, the goat of like filmmaking. Like Taiwanese cinema back in, you know, is like so incredible. Um, I really wouldn't consider myself a cinephile, but I definitely do pay attention to like certain films and have loves. But I think City of God was like the first jump off that was like, as a young person, I was like, whoa, I can make films like that.
That
You
movie
know,
haunts me.
yeah, you know,
That good. It's just like, is this a movie or does someone just set up a camera and a you know?
that would say, and you can see the influence in like Burial. I think hopefully you can see like a little bit of
This
the
is
influence in the style.
very raw, very organic. Like no one's
Yes,
really acting. This is just who they are.
exactly. I love those type of films, but those are some rewatchables that I've seen recently. Um, yeah, just the storytelling is really good. I like stories more. Cinematography maybe comes. Uh, I like photographers. I think photography more is more influential, or painters are more influential on me than cinematographers, I would say. But I think Bradford Young's career is a career that I definitely like look up to, and just him as a human being is and as a person is really really beautiful to kind of follow.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to check them out. And you said Edward Yang.
Yeah, Edward Yang. Everything by Edward Yang is like, man, unstoppable. So good.
Um, so I just have two more questions for you, if that's okay with
Yeah, yeah, of course.
you. All right. So let's see here. Which one should I ask first? Okay. So is there, did you notice a particular part of Africa where the Chinese presence is especially strong, or does the issue span the entire continent?
It's the entire continent, and we wanted it to play as like a backdrop. You know, it's definitely there, like the colonization and the mining, and it's prevalent. We filmed in real like the real like there's a scene of the gold miners. That's a real place. We got permission to film there. That wasn't made up. Everyone that was acting there that day, I mean, we hired them that day on the spot to film it. That's not fake. It's not a fake river. It's not fake people. It's like 100 the real machines. Like that's we showed up and just like shot it almost documentary style, and the light went down, so we just ended up using the headlamps to shoot it, which made it like even I think like kind of aesthetically nice. But yeah, it was there. Like the slot machines, we try to do it like very subtly, you know. Um, the slot machines and a lot of the places there, it's definitely a background um, to what's going on in Africa right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So people keep putting questions.
Nice. That's good. That's good.
All right. Okay. So, was the story compelled, or I'm sorry, I read that incorrectly. Story completely crafted at the time of the film, or is it from folk story or folk tale?
This the story actually evolved. Like from the original script, we went back and did a reshoot, and then it kind of changed a little bit. We had to change the narration to kind of fit more of like what was going on in the scenes and stuff. It's different than the original. There's a story where we got Blitz is friends with Ryan Coogler, who just had shot Black Panther, and Ryan. Uh, I'm gonna tell this story because it's a really good story. So Ryan invited us to watch. He just had finished Black Panther. It's like the biggest film ever on Earth, and he Ryan was like, "You guys come through. You can screen. I'll screen Burial for you, and I'll give you notes." And so we went to Oakland, and it was like a little small apartment place, and I was like, "This is not right." I was like, "The guy who shot Black Panther does not live here. There's no possible way." And we showed up to his little apartment, and it was really like really regular, and I was like blown away. I was like, what is like there's and we sat in his living room, screened the film. He gave us notes. We took those notes very serious. and we ended up changing the film and some of the parts around and some of the narration with his notes. Him and his wife sat down with us and watched it, and we ended up with the end piece that's currently out now. And I feel like with those suggestions, those genuine suggestions that he gave us, was really key. And he's almost like an unspoken, like, like he's not really in the mix as far as like, oh, he's like, he helped us and did all this stuff, but he had a really nice part, and he was really giving to us. And I was, like I said, I was blown away by his humbleness. The Black Panther director in the small apartment in Oakland. Well, it was like, that was unbelievable.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of things into perspective, I think.
Yes. Yes.
All right, and the last question for this evening, unfortunately, the upside down dream views were very moving, very much moved me. Someone in the audience has asked this question, by the way. How did you decide to do this? Part of the story? Question mark.
Yeah, I think we wanted to just like flip the worlds, because in a like three-dimensional world, like there's no up or down, left or right. And I think one of the most like fundamental ways you can do it is just by flipping the screen. And I think we landed it right, because sometimes a flip screen just to flip a screen is kind of, it doesn't have impact. You can do it all day, like on an edit, just flip it. But I think where we landed them, like with the horse particularly, that was powerful. I think it was like at the right time to do it and be like, whoa, this is another dimension that we're in right now. And that's how we wanted to use it. But not just to use it because you can flip it upside down, but to have it hit at the right time. I think that's the key.
Yeah, definitely. I think every time I saw it upside down, I knew that I was supposed to be thinking outside of the normal kind of like
Yes.
reality.
Yes.
Hey, well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Of course.
I know that we had to reschedule this. It was a whole thing, technical difficulties. Now we had a snowstorm, and I was like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me and checking the film out. I hope that people enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, yeah. There were a lot. I can't say lots, but the people who were here very much enjoyed it, and they were. I heard
Great.
a lot of like positive feedback. I do want to end this by asking you, what should we be watching from you? Like, do you have some projects? I saw that you had some things on your story. Oh, and
Yeah.
what can we do to, stay tapped into what you're doing creatively? Oh,
Yeah.
and then someone also asked, how do we follow you on IG?
Yeah. It's Cambio was here. All one word, Cambio. It's my nickname. Was here on Instagram. And then yeah, man, I've shot some really dope projects, like for like Leon Bridges, the musician. I just won at Sundance for a short film we shot. We won the jury prize on that. It's called If I Go Will They Miss Me. I'm shooting a feature in Brazil that's coming up. Yeah, so if you want to follow the work like on IG and see the journey, and I know that Blitz and I too, like, always have magic in the works, like eventually we'll be able to see. Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you so much. I guess we're signing out here. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all.